All right, guys, we have got our mini preview and season win total predictions here for the Indianapolis Colts. This is episode 14 as we go through the entire NFL. Over under on season wins for the Colts, 6.5, minus 128 to the over, plus 104 to the under. We're going to go over here for the Indianapolis Colts. We'll run through the coaching roster schedule right now. Coaching-wise, Shane Steichen comes in from the Philadelphia Eagles. Natural progression there as the Eagles were well above expectations, and coordinators just getting picked up. Offense was good, Hurts was good, all that. So Steichen, a good fit as he moves over here to the Colts. He brings Jim Bob Cooter in at OC, so we'll see how that goes, though I think Steichen will do a lot of that. And then Gus Bradley stays as defensive coordinator, and you want some sort of veteran coaches here on positions that you don't know very well when you're a new head coach. So offensive head coach, you bring in a vet on D, and Gus Bradley stays, and some continuity here as well for the defense. And then we'll jump right on into the roster. Anthony Richardson, of course, comes in. He's the exciting guy. Whether he starts week 1 or not, we'll see. I expect him to play a decent amount this year, though. Gardner Minshew may get some starts at the beginning of the year, but we'll see. Minshew's good enough to win some games. He's not, great or anything. But Anthony Richardson, this is the perfect place for him. Steichen, as we said, comes from Philadelphia, where he was coaching Jalen Hurts and running that offense. I expect a similar offense. I expect similar just all-around game management from Steichen here for Anthony Richardson when they have the ball. A lot of runs. He's not an elite passer or anything like that. It's one of those things he's going to have to work on quite a bit. But he has an arm, so we'll see how the passing goes. I expect a lot of runs, though, a lot of flashy options and short screens and passes and stuff like that here for Anthony Richardson, so he can ease himself into the NFL. As for the offensive line he's behind, potentially really good. The tackles were really good. Ryman and Smith last year had good years. It was the interior that was the problem. Nelson took a step back. Kelly took a step back. They'll need to step up again if this offensive line is going to be, elite for the Colts. There's plenty of talent there. I think they can step up again, but, we'll see. As for the running back room, Jonathan Taylor is the guy. He started as I was making this, he popped up that he was going to start the training camp on the PUP list, which is not exactly what I wanted to see, but I expect him to be healthy. If he is healthy, it should be his role. Running backs behind him are pretty decent as well. Don't hate Zach Moss. Don't hate Deion Jackson, so they're decent enough backups, but Jonathan Taylor's going to have to stay healthy if this team's going to go over their win total. As for the wide receiver room, good players here. Pittman is he's not a high-end one. He's like a 20 to 30 type one, or a really, really, really good number 2, but good enough for the one here. He's a good player. Alec Pierce really came on toward the end of the season last year. I expect him to have a large role and continue to get better in his new year. They bring in McKenzie, who I didn't hate at Buffalo, but, I didn't love him. He has some drops sometimes. It's not brilliant or anything like that, but it's a good body to have. Doolin is not too bad as well in depth. And then they bought in Josh Downs in the draft, someone I thought they stole where they took him, but it's a really good player, exciting, but it's also his rookie year, so tempering expectations is kind of the best way to go about that, but someone I hope gets plenty of touches next year. He's very exciting. Tight end room, it's pretty good. It's got potential to be really good. Mo Alley Cox is a really good too. Jelani Woods is athletically crazy. He's an incredible athlete and 6'7", so there's plenty of upside here with Jelani Woods. He's just got to put it together. It does take a while for tight ends to kind of get going. It's normally around year 3 that they really need to step into that role. So it's coming soon for Woods, and hopefully he shows more than flashes this year. Then we can have some really nice weapons out of the tight end room. And then defensive line, it's a pretty good unit. It's got a pretty high floor, and it's got really nice potential depending on how things work out on the edge. Buckner obviously incredibly elite. Grover Stewart next to him, a good run defender. So it's a nice combo interior. Edge is interesting because it's not brilliant in terms of pass rush. You have Kwity Paye, who they hope steps up as a pass rusher soon. He's a good run defender, but he needs to start rushing the quarterback a little bit better now. And then you bring in Abukum, who they hope, steps up in a new place. He's got flashes once again. So they'll hope he steps up in Indianapolis. So the edges are potential, but not there yet. Also on the edge, crazy depth. The 3-4 players behind those two are freak athletes. And, you're hoping one of them just hits the ground and goes. There's plenty of freak talent here. Taekwon Lewis, Odiyingbo, the new pick, Adebaware. There's freak athletes here behind the front two. So if one of them hits, look out on this defensive line, because they're going to have to, if you have to double up on DeForest Buckner every time and one of these other freak guys just kind of starts hitting, it's going to be difficult to mark him one-on-one. You're going to have to chip and do a whole lot of other things just to keep them out of your backfield. But until something happens on the edge, it's kind of all just potential, really. Linebacker room, they lose Okereke, but Leonard steps in and is probably an upgrade, or definitely an upgrade if he's healthy. So it's not too much of an issue. His wings are not bad either. They're both solid players. So linebacker room is good as long as Leonard stays healthy. And secondary, this is probably the biggest problem on the team. Isaiah Rodgers gone for the year. I don't know if he got cut. I think he got cut. But he's gone for the year at least. And then Stephon Gilmore's been traded away. So the secondary is kind of Blackman at safety, Kenny Moore. They bring Brenson via the draft. Brents is going to have to hit the ground running because that's kind of it in this secondary. The secondary is problematic. So there are going to be games where they face good offensive lines and just get ripped apart. This defense as a whole. So that's problematic, but if someone else can step up in that secondary, or Brents really does hit the ground running like some of these bigger corners have been lately out of the draft, then it can be okay. But as a whole, the secondary is just, it's the weakness. It's not very good. As for the schedule, we got to find 7 wins here. But let's jump through it. Jacksonville, at Houston, at Baltimore, LA Rams, Tennessee. I don't think Jacksonville is far and away the best team in this division. I mean, I think it's closer. I think they are the best team, but I think it's a lot closer. So I think, they're all half wins. If you can split in this division, I think that's very doable. Jacksonville at home in the first game, and then at Houston, another division game right off the bat. So if you can start the year with a split, I think that's a good spot to be. At Baltimore's a loss probably. Then the Rams and Titans. Titans, we'll see, but they look like they're going in. They're going to compete this year. Rams, I'm bullish on them early on in the season. It may fall apart late, but early on it's going to be difficult. And then at Jacksonville again, Cleveland at home, New Orleans at home, at Carolina, at New England. So there are tough games there. Cleveland's a good team, but you get them at home. New Orleans, similar, but at home. At Carolina's winnable. So there are winnable games in this schedule. Then you get into the bye. Tampa Bay at home, at Tennessee, at Cincinnati. That's probably their toughest stretch as it goes into Pittsburgh and then at Atlanta. So at Tennessee, at Cincinnati, Pitt, and then at Atlanta. That's a 4-game stretch that's going to be really difficult, especially if Richardson's in there. And then they end the year with Las Vegas and Houston at home, which are more winnable games. So it's a schedule. This is not a great football team, and there are issues, obviously. They're over under 6.5, but if they can split division, if they can win 3 in the division, then you got 7 or 8 here that you kind of just need to find 4. Rams at home, Cleveland at home, New Orleans at home, Carolina, Tampa Bay at home, Pitt at home, Las Vegas at home. Can you find some more wins in there? I think it's very doable. There are 12 games here in this schedule where they are +3 or less. So a lot of coin flips, which means a lot of variance, guys. But we're going over 6.5 at -128. We'll have a new team tomorrow.